All right, welcome back to the Homestand Show. Time for fact or fiction, Justin Pooni.
The nation's favorite game show.
Yeah, I will dish out a statement, and we both have to label it fact.
Took you a while to explain that.
I know. I'm like, what game? I was thinking about Would You Rather. I was thinking about Bert's Brain Busters. Everything's going through my head right now. There's so much happening, ladies and gentlemen. Let's start with the first one. I will say this, though. The Phoenix Suns are now fourth favorites to win the NBA championship at plus 650. This is according to FanDuel. So let's get to the first statement, Mr. Pooni. Fact or fiction? Bradley Beal makes Suns favorites to win the NBA title. Dun, dun, dun.
Fiction,
Ooh.
Albert, because
you don't believe in the big three in AZ?
I do believe that they'll, be a threat to the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference, but health to me is the biggest factor in this, and I just don't trust that Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal can all stay healthy at the same time when it matters the most. That's the biggest thing. If they're healthy and they're right, look, they'll be there. They all have great skill, and they have the whole offseason and training camp to build some chemistry. It's not like Kevin Durant when he came to Phoenix right in the middle of the season. If they're healthy, it will work. But if they're not healthy, which is more likely than not, it's not going to work. So that's why it's fiction.
Yeah, what I mentioned in the first block, 179 games missed combined between Beal, Durant, and Booker through 492 regular season games. In the playoffs, that's all that really matters. But I'm with you. I think there's a chance we get some players missing some serious time. That's going to affect this Suns team. But with that said, I mean, there could be some moves still to be made. Who knows what that is?
Yeah.
The big question now is everyone's like, well, they have no bench, Justin Pooni.
You can still. Well,
what does that mean?
So here's
what does
the
that
thing.
really mean?
So the reason they want this trade done by July 1st is because that's when the new CBA kicks in. So they can re-sign their own free agents, guys like Torrey Craig and I think Cam Payne and stuff like that.
Right.
And they can bring them back in. And before that new tax threshold kicks in, right? So they can try to make all that fit, re-sign their own free agents without affecting their...
Matt Ishbia is finding all the loopholes possible.
Yes, Matt Ishbia, as you should. As a smart owner, you should be able to circumvent the rules and stuff like that to make sure your team is fine. So they'll build out their bench like that. But as far as adding another piece or adding a point guard to fill that Chris Paul role in, it's going to be tough unless they move off from a guy like DeAndre Ayton, where all reports are indicating there's not a big market for him out there. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with the Phoenix Suns and how they fill out the rest of this roster, because you have three big price tickets. Well, four big price tickets if you include Ayton. You got to build out your roster.
Imagine the amount of load management that's going to go down in Phoenix this season.
I hope not a lot.
Oh, it's going to be a lot.
It will be a lot. I hope it's
all
not,
about the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
As long as they make
they got to get to the playoffs with
they'll be a top 5 team in the West.
We'll see.
You would think. If let's say one of those players takes a night off every other night, they would still make the playoffs. Probably pretty comfortably.
I mean, it was very close this past year in the Western Conference, right? So,
but they didn't have Durant for that long. Now they have Durant, hopefully for a full season. I will say this: according for the people were talking about the bench and if they need a bench, the Suns were 11th in bench scoring. Not that it really means anything, but Denver, Miami, Boston, all near the bottom.
Yeah.
And Denver ran a pretty tight rotation.
8-man rotation, 7-man
Obviously,
rotation,
it's easier when you have Jokic and Murray, but when you have Beal, Durant, Booker, possibly Ayton, maybe the Suns are going to be okay. But not NBA title contenders. I think that goes to Denver once again. Okay, the next one, Pooni. Fact or fiction, staying in the NBA, Mr. Zion Williamson, one of your favorite players, will live up to his potential, but not in New Orleans.
I'm going to go fact.
Okay.
I'm going to say Zion Williamson gets dealt this week before the NBA draft. The Pelicans are really wanting to get Scoot Henderson. And I think, look, Zion, maybe a change of scenery is exactly what he needs. He's been in the media for a whole lot of the wrong reasons over the last couple weeks. It looks like the team does prefer Brandon Ingram slightly over Zion from what I've been reading. Look, this guy we know how great he is when he's healthy and when he's right. Speaking of health, right? Yeah. When Zion's on the court, like, he's dominant. Right, he puts efficiency. He's a physical force.
25-7 and 3, 60.5% from the field when he plays.
60.5%.
Solid numbers, but he's only played 114 games since the 2019 draft.
Yeah,
man, you got to have some serious cojones on you if you're the Pelicans, pulling the trigger to trade Zion, knowing that if he goes somewhere else and figures it out, he can become one of the best players in the league.
But
that's a tough move to make.
That if might be so big and so much of a risk, they might forget it. Like, it's not worth it
Sometimes
anymore.
It's better just to move on and just, we don't want to deal with this anymore.
And the thing is, his contract is so incentive laden, right? Because of weight and playing time and this and that, right? Another team would be, okay, well, we're not stuck to it, right? We're not going to pay him the full amount. It's up on him if he wants to maximize his full contract. if Zion Williamson and I can get my hands on him and get him into my. Imagine Zion Williamson.
What's that? The school of Pooni? What are you going to tell him? What are you going to teach him?
Heat culture. Imagine with Pat Riley.
Culture.
They have to be under a
true.
certain weight, right?
Right.
I'm not saying it's going to happen, but him in Portland with Dame could work, right? I think there's spots where it would work for Zion. It's just up to David Griffin and the Pelicans if they want to make that big ballsy move.
Well, that's
like
a risky investment for the other team on the other side because you don't know what you're getting. I know every other organization, coaches and GMs can think, if we get him, we can fix it.
Change him, right?
But that happens in every single sport. I don't know if that happens with Zion. I'm going to go facto. I think he does. I mean, if he figures it out, which why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he figure it out? He could be one of the most dominant players in the NBA. And the Pelicans apparently want to pick, and Charlotte and Portland are in the mix. What were you saying about Portland? He might like it over there, right?
I didn't say that. That's what I was reading on Twitter, why he might like it.
Why will he like playing in Portland?
Because apparently Portland is a strip club capital of the world, and we know that Zion likes, from what we've seen on social media.
He likes something, that's for sure. Dude, drama. The guy makes more noise off the court than he does on it. Okay, to the next one. This is a producer Stevie Z special. Fact or fiction to the NHL. Connor Bedard makes the Blackhawks a playoff team,
fiction.
Justin.
No.
You didn't say this season, though.
But I'm going to take it as this season. We're talking about 5 years down the road.
No, he's going to say this season.
So I think it's fiction. The Blackhawks aren't a good team. There's the reason why they're in this predicament to take Connor Bedard first overall.
Yeah, they went full tank. Bro.
Other than Seth Jones, can you name another player on their roster of note?
Of note?
Yeah.
No, there's no one special. I'm pulling up their cap right now.
There's nobody of
they got
note.
Tyler Johnson.
Yeah.
But they have multiple free agents. There's only 1, 2, 3 players that have more than 2 years.
Yeah. They're rebuilding this thing from the studs up.
They got to do a lot. Do you think in this NHL that the Blackhawks need to get an enforcer type to play with Bedard in this NHL right now? Well, I know those players don't really exist, so you almost need like a Barbashev, that type of player who can hit, score some goals.
Yeah, you will.
Do they need that?
Well, you look at the history of the game, right? Crosby comes in, they have to hire. You have certain guys to take care of him. McDavid, Matthews, they've had certain guys there.
David doesn't really have anybody like that.
They did. They brought Cassian. They had Lucic in, right?
That's right.
So I think when you look at you want to make sure that your franchise guy is protected because people are going to
especially him. Yeah,
people are going to take liberties. He's not the biggest guy in the world.
He is
right?
pretty jacked. Did you see him at that combine?
Yeah,
thing?
he is.
He looks pretty jacked.
He's a little on the shorter side too, right? Guy. So, I mean. He's your franchise guy. He's going to be the guy that, you're never going to let leave unless, by any means necessary. So you're going to want to make sure that investment is taken care of.
They got a lot of cap space, though. They have Peter Mrazek.
We talked about CJ, though, last week, about attractive markets, right?
Well, Chicago can be.
It can be, but people want to see what Bedard is first before they want to go there, right?
Yeah, that's true.
You can't hedge everything on that. He's going to be great.
You're going to have a couple bad seasons.
Exactly. Yeah. Expect a little bit more pain in Chicago where they're going to get some more high draft picks, kind of build a young core out, and then you can see free agents starting to flock there.
Yeah, I'm going to say I'm going to go fiction as well, but I would say in the next 7 to 8 years, I think the Blackhawks will be a Stanley Cup contender.
Okay.
Fact. All right, next
fiction,
one.
Okay.
Ooh, I like this one. Fact or fiction? Roy McIlroy will never win another major. Once again, couldn't get it done at the U.S. Open. Shout out to Wyndham Clark, by the way.
Yeah.
I was almost in tears watching the end of that thing.
Yeah.
Him talking about his mom passing away, the family, pulling out the heartstrings, man. So
yeah,
shout out to Wyndham Clark. Congratulations.
I thought Ricky, Ricky Fowler blew it once again. If it was fact or fiction, will Ricky Fowler ever win a major? I would have been like, that's a fact.
He looked so good in the first 3 rounds.
This is fiction. I think Rory, he's just so good, man. He's always in contention at every major, it seems like.
19 top 10 finishes at
there you go.
majors
19
since
top 10.
winning in 2014.
He'll win another one. It might just be a big draw. Hey, look, Tiger, how big of the draw was for Tiger, right?
I know.
And he finally won one. Phil had a major drought like that, too. He'll win one more.
Rory's too good not to win.
He's too good, exactly. He's too good not to win.
I'm going to go fiction. He's going to win another major. Yeah. Okay, we got to run through these. Fact or fiction, another producer Stevie Z special. Vegas against Florida was the worst Stanley Cup final of the last decade. The one that pops to mind immediately is probably Tampa Dallas in 20.
The bubble one?
That wasn't great. Tampa Montreal was not great either.
No. I don't know, really. To be honest with you, it's like there's...
I actually didn't mind it because I liked watching Vegas.
Yeah.
I love the Panthers storyline with Kachuk and how they got there and Bobrovsky, plus the injuries. There was a lot to that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go fiction
Bill
because
Foley calling it in 6 years.
I'm gonna go fiction because there's of no like you think about the last 10 years, you got the Kings versus the Devils, and then you had the Kings versus the Rangers, Blackhawks versus Tampa, Pittsburgh. You know,
I'm trying to pull them up right now.
I don't really remember any like amazing finals of note. Maybe the Boston Chicago one, but even that one was over pretty quickly too.
Boston, I know you don't want to mention it, but the Bruins against Vancouver.
That was more than a decade.
I know it was more than a decade ago. I'm just trying
That
to
was a
think of
great
the
series.
last one that I remember that was really good. That was probably it.
Yeah, I don't remember the last any.
There hasn't been anything.
I don't even. Yeah, I think all
I
the
forgot
Stanley
that
Cup.
Washington eliminated Vegas 4-1.
Yeah, Vegas, Washington. Yeah, exactly. Like I just think there haven't been great finals.
St. Louis, Boston was good.
Yeah.
7-7.
That was 7. Okay, maybe that one.
I'm gonna go fiction on that one. I actually like the final. Okay, we got one more here. Two more actually. Fact or fiction? The Raptors won't win another championship in our lifetime. I think you put this one down on the list.
I didn't put this one.
Oh,
in.
wasn't
Don't put
you?
me thrown under the bus like
In
that.
so what's your lifetime? How many years do you think you got left? I'm gonna give you 70 years.
I'm 97.
That's a good run.
Holy.
So by
Wow.
the time you're 97, will the Raptors win another championship?
I would think so.
You would think so.
Right? Are you saying the next 10, 15 years? Hell
Maybe
no.
in James Sharman's lifetime. So
Maybe
that's
not
what,
in James Sharman's
3
lifetime.
years?
Yeah, but
No, I'm just joking. Sorry, Sharman.
I don't know. It's tough, Albert. Like you see it, if you want to win a title in the NBA, you have to have one of the greatest players in the game. Nikola Jokic,
Or
Giannis
3.
Antetokounmpo, or 3, right? LeBron, Steph, Kawhi, right? You need to have a great, like, all-time NBA player, and the Raptors don't have that.
Right.
And I don't see them getting one unless they draft one and he stays, or
Yeah, I don't see
they
it
acquire one
happening
via
either.
trade.
Yeah, they're not going to put together some mishmash team and go all the way and win it. Miami tried that. Couldn't happen. If they get Dame?
They're not
Watch
getting
out,
Dame.
Watch out for Miami.
Oh,
Okay.
Miami. That's the
Coming up after the break. This guy's getting all upset. Andrew Zuber, the Zoobs, are going to join us. We're going to talk about the Blue Jays and tee up their 3-game series against the Miami Marlins, which start tonight.